Welcome to the Biz Builders podcast, where we believe building the business of your dreams can change your life. I'm your host, Sandy Patterson, former teacher turned certified life and business coach. After 14 years of teaching, I took a huge leap, left my job, and built 2 successful businesses with no business or sales background. Now I'm living the life of my dreams, and I'm ready to help you do the same. You're in the right spot here if you're ready to dig into not only the strategy of business building, but also the belief in yourself that building a business is possible. You're made for this, and you've got exactly what it takes to create the financial, time, and location freedom you're craving. Over here, we value progress over perfection. We embrace being uncomfortable, and we believe that anything, literally anything you want, is possible for you with the right strategy, mindset, and support. You'll also hear inspiring stories here and, of course, failures of women who are doing the same thing. The whole idea is if she can do it, so can I. Thanks for being here. Let's dive in. Hello, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Biz Builders podcast. I'm so happy you're here today. I'm super excited to share this episode with you because I'm going to give you a peek inside of my Biz Builders mastermind. And this came up because I did a couple months ago, I did a free masterclass. It was called Full-Time Online Formula. So basically what I did is I held a masterclass, and it was basically just me talking through my journey of going, well, I took it way back. So it was basically like my journey from going to teaching to going to freelancing to going into coaching and then to going full-time in my coaching business. Like that's the only thing that I do now, aside from Teach Bar, of course. But it was a really, really fun masterclass, and a lot of people really enjoyed it. And just to get a peek behind the scenes of like what was going on strategically, like what was I focusing my time on in order to like move through this journey of going full-time online. And also like inside that masterclass at some point, and I'll drop the link for it if you want to check it out. It's a really great masterclass because again, like it's just helpful to hear like the behind the scenes of what was going on strategically, what was going on mindset wise, what was my, my circumstances, my situation, all of the things, because I think it's very elusive. Like we hear people talking about going full-time online, but we're like, what does that like actually look like? So in this master class, I really broke it down. And so I'll leave the link in the show notes for you. If you want to check it out, it's totally free. You just put your email in and then you get access to, the masterclass. And also there is a document that I created that showed like exactly what I was focusing my time on during like each phase of this journey going full time in my online coaching business. So I'll drop that in the show notes, but at some point in that masterclass, I mentioned something about how there were a lot of things that I was wasting time on. And somebody asked in the comments, like in the masterclass comments, she said, if you ever do a follow-up, I would love to hear some of the non-needle moving activities and time wasters you discovered when auditing your time. And I thought that was such a great question, again, because you guys know I'm like a totally open book. I'm like, ask me anything, I'll tell you whatever. I'm always going to be 110% like honest and open with you about everything. And I thought that this was a really good question because like, yeah, what is it that you are wasting your time on? Like I shared everything that I was doing that I felt at the time was like moving the needle forward and that I put into place consistently over time to allow me to go full time in my business. But I kind of just glazed over the like what I was wasting time on. So today I'm going to share with you those things that I was like wasting time on basically. So here we go. So, and this is funny. Don't worry. I'm going to like bring it all around like full circle. And I'm going to share a clip with you at the end of the things that I feel are the needle moving activities, the moneymaker activities, my non-negotiables. So this isn't just going to be a podcast of me saying like, don't do this. I'm going to bring it back around and I'm going to share with you what I feel right now are the most important things as far as my business goes and kind of how I navigate my non-negotiables on a daily level, on a weekly level, and even on a monthly and quarterly level. So you'll get to hear that at the very end. But let me just dive in. And it took me a second to kind of not come up with these things, but to reflect on this, because like, I think so often we do things and we execute things and we create things. And then if somebody were to ask you, like, how did you do this? It's hard to kind of describe it. At least that's the case for me. So these are the things that I wasted time on in my journey of going full-time online. Now, if you're a person that's not necessarily wanting to go full-time online, or if you're building your coaching business on the side, or any other business for that matter, these are all really, like, these will apply to you, and I'll bet that you are going to resonate. I have 4 things here. So these are my 4 things that I wasted time on during this time. And I still think these things are a waste of time for the most part. Yeah, I definitely still think these things are a waste of time, even now that I'm full-time in my business. So number 1 is, drumroll please, scrolling socials. So this is like, this is a waste of time, you guys. And I very much understand that sometimes we just need a break. Sometimes we need to disconnect. Sometimes we need to just like take our mind somewhere else. But I want you to pay attention to actually what happens in your brain when you are opening up social media to just kind of scroll. And I know oftentimes what would happen during this time period, and even now, is I will be like, oh my gosh, I need to go into Instagram and I need to send a couple DMs to people, or people are waiting on me to reply to them, or I need to go check in with so-and-so, or, oh, I need to go like find these stories and whatever. Like, there's actually a purpose that I'm opening up Instagram. And then I get in there and it's just like, your brain just goes like blank, and it's the scroll starts, right? And the scroll is, there's lots of like research on this, and you can go like look at that somewhere else, but I'm not talking about this from a research-based standard or a research-based perspective. I'm just talking about what happens for me. So when like you open it up, and I'll just like start scrolling, and then, 5-10 minutes go by, and I'm like, wait a second, what was I doing on here? And then my brain is completely not in the zone that it was in when I opened up the app. So like, I open up the app to do a specific thing. Like, let's just say I need to go respond to somebody in my DMs. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to open it up. And then I get sidetracked. I start scrolling. I start, ooh, what's this? Ooh, what does this link take me to? Ooh, I definitely need this new outfit, or whatever it is. And then by the time I like come back around and go, wait, what was I doing on here? I'm completely not in the zone of like, okay, I'm ready to respond. I know what I need to say. I know what I need to do. And it's like this, it's very, very unproductive for me. So I noticed this when I was actually during this time, and I talk about this in the full-time online masterclass. I was actually auditing my time like in 5-minute blocks. So I would look at what I was doing for 5 minutes at a time and document it and be like, where am I wasting time? Like, where can I use this time like somewhere else to be more productive and to move towards my goals? And this was one thing, and it was 5 minutes here, it was 5 minutes there. I'm scrolling, I'm looking for quote unquote inspiration. I'm looking to see what other people are doing. I'm looking for ideas on like what I could possibly post, like the whole shebang, the whole deal. And for me, those 5 minutes here, those 5 minutes there, the 5 minutes here, you add it up, and it's like a lot of time I was wasting scrolling. And so I also am very, very cognizant now of like what my brain does when I open up socials. And sometimes, yes, you guys, there are times when I'm like, I'm just going to open up Instagram because I simply just want to scroll, and I want to like kind of just like veg out for a couple minutes. And I allow myself to do that, of course, but from a business perspective and from a perspective of like, I've got shit to do and I got to move the needle forward here. I am very, very cognizant now about when I open up Instagram, or when I open up Facebook, or when I open up whatever it is, that I am very clear on what I'm doing in there. And I do my very best now to stay focused on that task, or that whatever it is that I'm opening it up for, that goal, and to stay in that mind frame, because it just takes you completely somewhere else. Like the whole thing, like your brain, like watch what your brain does when you open up social media. So yeah, that's number one, is scrolling social. So that for me during that time period was a waste of time when I got really, really honest about it. And yeah, I could have said like, I could have been like, well, I'm doing research, or I'm looking at what other people are posting, or I'm looking at this or that and the other. No, because yes and no, like, but mostly no, because your brain just gets so sidetracked and so distracted looking for that next like dopamine hit, looking for that next little shot of inspiration, or that next little like, ooh, this looks cool. Like, what rabbit hole can I go down here? And so I just really try now. And as far as Instagram goes, like for me now, I definitely like the main reasons I go on Instagram are to connect with people, to post content, to post stories, to share, to sell, to talk about my offer, to create this beautiful like living portfolio of my work and what it's like to work with me. So I just try to keep those things at the top of mind when I open the app, and give myself a little grace when it goes awry, right? But definitely like better use of my time. And once I kind of got a handle on that, it opened up a lot more time for me to focus on things that are actually like my needle movers, the things that are actually producing the result that I want over time. So that's number one. Number two was focusing on things that didn't actually matter. So I see this very, very often with new business owners and new coaches. And it's this if then, or when I have this, then I'll do XYZ kind of like belief or mindset. And so when I say focusing on things that didn't actually matter at the time, it was things like, oh, I've got to work on my business cards. Like I got to get those business cards done. So then once I have my business cards done, then I'm going to be ready to like get visible and really sell and share about my offer and take on new clients. Or things like my website or my onboarding process, or like all the things that like, there's just things that you don't actually need to take on clients. You guys, and I hear this, I talk to so many coaches, so many business owners, so many new business owners, and it's this, when I have this, then I'll be able to do this mindset. And it's just simply not true. You literally, you do not need a lot to take on a client and to start making money in your coaching business. It's like logistically, all you really need is like a computer or a phone to take a Zoom call or to take a phone call. You need like a calendar to like schedule yourself. But even that, like you don't need like a calendar, like a scheduling. You can just be like, hey, are you free on Monday? And then they'll be like, yes or no. And then you just kind of go from there. Okay, perfect. Here's the link. You need some sort of, like a way to take payments. And I always tell people, because people like my new like coaches will be like, well, I can't take on clients until I have like this whole payment processing CRM system set up. And I'm like, no, girl, like what you need right now is just to move, and you need to start seeing clients. You need to get those people in the door to begin building that confidence. You can take Venmo, you can take PayPal, you can like, those are all perfectly perfect ways in the beginning to take payments. I definitely don't suggest that as you like get more clients and you're setting up systems and you're, tracking things and you want things to go in the right place and all of that stuff. So not a long-term solution, but it is definitely a short-term solution. And your CRM, your payment processor, like all of those things are not things that you need to have in place before you take on clients. And so this was something for me too, that I fell into this trap of like, oh, well, I gotta, work on these things that don't actually really matter. They don't matter. Nobody has ever like came to me and said, hey, Sandy, I want to work with you, but first, like, I want to see your website to make sure that it's like legit. Or, hey, Sandy, like, I really want to work with you, but like, do you have a business card? I just want to make sure. And well, yes, like the website and the business card, those are just the examples that I'm using. There are a lot of other things I've heard people, talk about that they need to have in place before taking on clients or before really, really moving and starting to snowball the business. well, yes, they are, like they can be important, but like they're also not. Like you can run a business without business cards, you guys. You can run a business without a website. And there's just some sort of security in having those things because it makes you feel more quote unquote like legit or more confident. But really the confidence comes from the movement and the doing and the action taking, not these things that like you're doing on the back end just to have in place in case someone asks for them or in case like it comes up. It is not necessary. So for me, when I kind of reined it in and I was like, well, like let me put these things like the business cards and the website and all of those things, let me put those on the back burner and let me focus on these non-negotiables, these moneymaker things that I know are going to get clients in the door. I know that are going to give me the confidence to feel like a coach, to feel like a business owner. That's really when things started to, I'll say work, like quote unquote work for me or move for me. And it also gave me the confidence to go full time in my business because I was really clear about what was a waste of time or what I didn't actually need, and then what I did need to focus on. And we're going to get to those things in just a second. So the third thing that was a waste of time for me was time spent not selling or relationship building. So there was a turning point for me in my business when I had all the things in place. Like all of the things were good. I had the coaching certificate. I had gone through my coach training program. I even had business cards at that time because I had wasted time on my business cards. I had all of the things like I thought I needed, but I wasn't selling. And the reason I wasn't selling was because I didn't know how. Selling, I say this over and over, you've probably heard me say this before, selling is something that you can learn. It is something that you can practice. It is an art form. It is something where you just kind of have to learn how the pieces fit together in order to understand how to move someone through a sales process. And so the moment that I learned how to do that was a game changer for me in my business, you guys, because I no longer felt like I was throwing spaghetti at the wall. I felt confident talking about my offers. I felt confident inviting people into them. I felt confident with how I could help people. And so learning how to sell and any time spent not selling, it's like a no-brainer. I would be like, why am I not selling? Like, why is nobody signing up for me? Well, duh, Sandy, it's because you weren't selling. Like people didn't know if you could help them. People didn't know how you could help them. People didn't know what you did. So once I got clear on that and how to move through a sales process, I was golden. Like I was good. And the other part of this too is relationship building. You guys, it is like so common. I see this all the time. Like it's common for us to have this idea of like, okay, I'm going to start this coaching business and it's going to be amazing and it's going to be great and I'm going to make such an impact. But you have like the things that we do, especially in an online business like we do, because it's very much relationship based, right? It's very much based on trust. Like coaching, you have to trust the person that you're coaching with in order to really get great results and to be able to open up and move through roadblocks and to push through things that are like mucky at times. So what we do is very much based on relationship building. And so what I realized really early on, well, not really early on, it probably could have been earlier because I was wasting time not doing this, but I realized that the things that I was doing, the relationships that I was building, and the connections that I was making, and I wasn't doing it to like I don't build relationships or, connect with people because I just want to make a sale. I build relationships with people because I genuinely care about them and I genuinely just want to, help them. And I want to, even if they decide not to work with me, I'm still like, okay, I'm like cheering you on. I'm here if you need anything. Like, it's just, I want to know about you. I want to know about who you are. I want to know about what you value. I want to know about what you're building, because all of the women I work with are creating and serving other people in the most incredible way to make this world just basically a better place. And so I realized at some point during this journey, I realized that the relationship building that I was doing, it didn't necessarily lead to like a sale right then. It was like I would talk to people and I would get to know them and I would hear about what they're doing. I would hear about their struggles. I would continuously, check in on them. Again, not to make a sale, but just because I care about them. I genuinely care about them. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so cool. Like, I want to go to happy hour with you. I would keep in touch with people, and those relationships that I had cultivated, they would lead to us working together. But sometimes it would be, 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, a year or two down the line, you guys. So the focus on relationships and selling has been huge for me. And I come at my selling from a very much like heart-centered perspective, from a relationship. Like, the relationships are the foundation of my business. They will always be. It's just who I am as a person. It's who I am as a coach. And that's just how it is. So once I honed in on that and I was like, okay, let's learn how to sell and let's focus on the relationships here. That is never a waste of time. Selling is never a waste of time, and building relationships is never a waste of time. So I took the time that I was wasting on like scrolling socials or things that didn't really matter, and I put them towards selling and building relationships. And I continue to do that now as well in my business. Okay, the last thing is, and this is funny when I wrote this down, and I'm not going to go into this too deeply. I have so many episodes on around this, but it's just the mind trash, like the mind trash that comes up that tries to talk you out of what you're doing. And I spent a lot of time in those first few years questioning myself, like questioning, is this going to work? Was this a mistake? Am I going to be able to do this? Am I cut out for this? All of these like dumb questions that it was just a waste of time. If I had have like completely disregarded those questions, and I know that's not really a possibility, like, because it's so complex and it's so intricate the way that our brains work. But if I had have just set aside those things and realize that like it is that those thoughts and those questions that you're asking yourself are literally a waste of time, and you could be taking that energy and that thought space, that heart space, and just moving forward and going, I wouldn't have wasted so much time. So again, I'm not going to go into that like too deeply. I could go into it. I could talk about that for like hours and hours. But I'm not going to in this particular episode, just because I wanted to talk about a waste of time. So probably the biggest waste of time was the mind trash. Is this going to work? Am I cut out for this? Can I do this? Is anybody going to want to work with me? Is anybody going to want to pay me for this? Was this all a huge mistake? Whatever, like all of those questions, just a waste of time. And in hindsight, there were lessons learned, but I wish I had have known how to move out of those questions and into this just like very powerful movement forward, versus like, walking on eggshells and being kind of timid and just questioning, like, is this going to work? Like, I don't know. Like, yes, it's going to work because I've decided it's going to work. And so let's go make it work. Like, that's the vibe we're in. Okay. So here we go. Now, like I said, these were all the things that were a waste of time. Now, I have lots of episodes on the things like, yes, these are good things to focus your time on. So there's other episodes. I'll track them down and link them in the show notes so you can go back and listen to those. And okay, let me rein this in here and bring it back. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you a little behind the scenes peek of my Biz Builders Mastermind. So this is a high level mastermind space for women who are building their coaching business, and for new-ish coaches who have taken on, those first few clients, and they're kind of in those beginning phases, and they want to just take their offer suite creation. They want to take selling, like I talked about selling. They want to take the mindset piece. They want to take the content and strategy and messaging piece to the next level to see consistent clients and to really build confidence in their business. This is who the mastermind is for. So what I did this last week, we've been focusing on falling in love with your non-negotiables. And I call non-negotiables the things that you should be doing every day or every week to move the needle forward. They are money-making activities. So they are the opposite things that we talked about here today, the waste of time. And what I did is I created some audios and I dropped the audios in Slack. So I'm going to let you listen. I'm going to give you a little peek into those audios. So this is actually what I dropped inside the mastermind this week. It's pretty long audio. You're going to hear like at every 5-minute mark, you're going to hear a little pause in between because we use Slack. And so there's a little like pause in between each audio, but you'll be able to hear the whole thing as a whole and kind of listen to what I call or what I consider my non-negotiables. And what we're doing inside the mastermind this month is we're getting really clear on what everyone's specific non-negotiables are and learning how to build them into our schedules so these things that we do consistently over time are absolutely 100% going to create the results. So I'm going to let you listen to that, and I hope that this is helpful for you, both thinking about what not to waste your time on and also hearing this non-negotiable audio on what to spend your time on in order to really move the needle forward, while also definitely always keeping in mind that the things that we do, you guys, in business, the things we do in business, it doesn't necessarily produce an immediate result right away, but trusting the process and trusting that these things stacked up over an extended period of time are absolutely what's going to give you the result that you are looking for in your coaching business. So enjoy this audio. Let me know what you think. There's also a doc that goes with it. And if you guys are still with me, please, if you're interested in getting your hands on this document that I shared in my mastermind space, please just shoot me a message over on Instagram and I'm happy to share it with you so you can take a look and you can see, and it's all beautifully written out, kind of what my process is. So enjoy the audio. I will see you guys back here next time for the next episode. Love you guys and keep building those businesses. Okay, bye. Hello, you guys. Okay, so it is Thursday, and I know that we're wrapping up the end of the week. It's a little bit late, but I wanted to drop this in because we have been talking about falling in love with non-negotiables. And I know we had a little chat this week about like maybe that it's not falling in love necessarily, but maybe it's just like making them tolerable enough that we are motivated and excited to do them each day. And we also talked about too, how some of them are not every day. Some of them are weekly, some of them are monthly, some of them are quarterly. And we just need to be able to be fluid and let them move where they need to go. And just really trust the process that like everything that we're doing is really what's going to bring the results that we're looking for in our businesses. So I want to walk you through, I'm going to share this template with you. This is kind of my non-negotiable template. So I look at these questions every day, or at least like on weekdays. So I'm going to walk you through the questions, and then I'm going to walk you through my own non-negotiables, just so you can kind of get a little feel for like how I structure my time as I continue to grow my business as well. So the first little block here is just of like questions. They're questions that kind of guide my day and remind me of like what's important. So the first question, and you guys, we've talked about this before. The first question I always ask myself is like, what do I need today? So outside of my business, like what is it that I am needing today? What is it that I'm craving today? Maybe I need a little bit of alone time. Maybe I need some quiet time. Maybe I need some downtime. Maybe I need a nap. Maybe I need some connection time with a friend, or like to connect with, in that way. So I just ask myself first, like, what is it, Sandy, that you are needing today? And that's the first question that I answer. And then I go to the question, what does my business need from me today? And typically my business, like the answer that usually comes up for me when I'm talking or when I ask this question to myself is usually, well, my business needs me to show up like 110%. My business needs me to believe and trust that everything that I'm doing is leading to the result. My business usually needs me to sell in some way. So those are just like some answers, like some typical answers that I might have when I ask, like, what does my business need from me today? And this is kind of just like an overview, like a bigger kind of picture thing. Then the next question I ask in regards to my business, all of the rest of these are in regards to my business. So is there anything immediate that must be completed or done today? So this means like, okay, there's something coming up that has to be done, like has to be done. People are counting on me to have this thing done. Maybe it's slides for a group program. Maybe it is a contract that needs to go out. Just something that like has to be done today, or it wouldn't be good if it's not done. So I jot that down to make sure that I have that in the front of my head. And then my next question in regards to my business is, what offer do I want to bring attention to today? So this gets helpful for me when we start to talk about different offers and when we start selling different offers. So I just need to decide, like, for that day, what is the offer that I really want to bring like front and center, give the most attention to? Is it the mastermind? Is it one-to-one coaching? Is it maybe a group program or a masterclass I'm doing? Or maybe it's like just a fun little offer here and there. So I'm going to decide which offer I want to bring attention to that day. And then the next question is, what kind of post do I want to create today? So when we say post, I could replace that word with content. So what kind of content do I want to create today? And specifically, like, what kind of buyer type do I want to talk to? And when we say kind of content, I'm talking about, like I said, what type of buyer I want to talk to today. And also, like, is it that I want to make a reel? Is it that I want to create like a carousel? Is it that I just want to show up my stories? Maybe I just want to record a podcast episode. Maybe I want to send out an email. Like, it's pretty much like, what are you going to create today to put out into the world? So that would be considered an outbound activity. And then the next question is, what kind of stories do I want to post today? So I do typically try to be active in my stories 5 days a week at least. I don't beat myself up if that doesn't happen. I don't like get upset if I don't make it to like the 5 marker. I try to be active in stories. So even if I don't get a post, like a static post out on my Instagram feed, at least there's something in my stories there that is there. So I'm like being present. I'm there. I'm selling. I'm doing something there. Okay, and then the next question I ask is, can any of that content that I just talked about, like the offer that I want to bring attention to, the type and kind of post that I want to create today, the stories that I want to put out into the world, maybe it's a podcast episode, can any of that content be turned into an email? So I'm trying to not like recreate the wheel in every aspect. Like, I'm not trying to post one thing on Instagram and then send out an email about something else and then create a podcast about something else. Like, I'm trying to like streamline this. So anything that can be turned into an email or podcast, I'm going to take that. And if I can't record it that day or I can't write it that day, I just add it to a running list of like, here, send these emails out. But usually I will kind of have enough time in my day to make those things happen if that feels good. I do not send an email out every week. I do not record a podcast episode every week. I would say probably like every other week-ish. But again, I only really do these things when it feels really good to me, when I feel like inspired to do them, and when I'm not putting any pressure on myself to be like, you have to do this, this, and this every day and do this. Because again, I think that's when the non-negotiables become tricky, is when we're putting all of this pressure on ourselves to like make sure everything gets done every day. And if I don't do it every day, then I'm a failure. It's like, no, I'm looking for overall consistency, not like this like very, very disciplined, like every day at 3:00 I'm posting or doing whatever it is. And that taking that pressure off too has allowed me, well, it's first of all, it's allowed for way better results, and it's allowed me to just feel more excited. And the energy, I think, that things go out into the world with does matter. So if I'm forcing myself to do something, it typically never turns out well, or it really doesn't get like a great response. It's when I move in a feeling of like alignment and like, I get to do this, that this happens. So that's why I think it's really important that like we do, maybe you're not like madly in love with your non-negotiables, but they need to be manageable, and they need to be something, we need to look at them as like something that we get to do versus like something that I have to do. Okay. So then the next block of questions here, this is kind of like separate. So I ask myself, what would feel really good for you to have accomplished at the end of the day in your business? So I only allow myself to choose one thing And it might be an ongoing project. So maybe I've spent, 30 minutes on this. Maybe it's getting some new stories up. Maybe it's writing new messaging for some new stories. Maybe it's looking at my offers and deciding what's coming up in the following month, like just what would feel really good for me at the end of the day to have accomplished as far as my business. And again, I don't make a list of like 50 things because it has to be manageable. And then again, non-negotiables. Okay, if we have like 100 non-negotiables, it's too overwhelming. So we're just honing in on like the one or the few things that are really going to move the needle forward. The second question, what would feel really good for you to have accomplished at the end of the day just for me? So just for me. Like sometimes it's like silly, like, oh, I want to read, my Onyx Storm book for 20 minutes, or, oh, I really want to paint my nails tonight, or, oh, I really want to take a hot shower, or like whatever. That it could be anything, but it's just for me. It's not for anybody else, not for my family, not for my business, just for me. This is me trying to like create balance here in my life, right? Because we have to have balance. That's why we created our businesses. We didn't create our businesses to work them 24/7. We created businesses to have more freedom. The next question is, what is something I'm going to do today that my future self will thank me for? This typically includes some sort of like movement or exercise or something, eating something good or drinking lots of water, like just bringing that to the front of my mind at the beginning of the day. And then the last question, this one's really important to me. What would feel really good for you to have accomplished at the end of the day with your family and with your boys? So I always obviously, like I love my kids so much, and I just want to make sure that they know that and that I'm spending quality time with them at some point throughout the day. This doesn't look like me spending like hours and hours of time with them, obviously, because, we're living lives and things to do and all that stuff. But I just try to make sure that there's some dedicated time in there, even if it's just for 15 to 20 minutes to play Mario Kart. And then the last question in this little block is, like other goals, just anything that you want to bring top of mind. And for me right now, it's spending time, intentionally connecting with people on Instagram and doing outreach and starting conversations. Okay, it keeps cutting me off. So that's why there's a little pause in there. Okay, so then what I do is I'm going to move into now my daily non-negotiables that are sometimes weekly non-negotiables. So these are the things that I've identified in my business that I want to make sure that I'm attending to or that I'm thinking about. Again, some of them are weekly, and that's okay. Like it gets to be fluid. It gets to be easy. It gets to be like, that's totally fine. Okay. So here are my non-negotiables. My first non-negotiable is to over deliver to my clients. So in all areas, one-to-one coaching, mastermind, group programs, even if it's just a coffee chat, like anytime I'm working with a client or a potential client, my job, I literally have a Post-it on my computer here, like my only job is to over deliver. I just want my clients to have like the most amazing experience. I want them to just be so like happy and thrilled and feel so supported. So that's always like my number one as far as my business non-negotiables go. Again, this is not me putting pressure on myself to like over deliver, or not over deliver, but to putting pressure on myself to like perform or convince or like put on a song and dance. It's like, no, I just get to show up and be me. And that gets to be like so amazing for my clients. So number one is over delivering. Number two is creating content. Now this can look like, and this is one that's probably like, it could be weekly for some of these. Some of them it's daily. It just depends on what it is. But it could include like a post on Instagram. It could include for me recording a podcast episode. It could be going live on Instagram. It could be creating an email. Like those are my main, for me and my business and what I've established. Those are like my ways to create outbound stuff. So it's me creating things on the back end and then sending them out into the world. So I want to be very, very clear about that because we distinguish between inbound and outbound. Outbound is like something that I'm doing on the back end and I'm sending it out into the world and I'm letting it do its thing, right? And so these are all outbound things. And like I mentioned before, I'm going to reuse anything anywhere that I possibly can. I'm not trying to recreate the wheel here. So one post could literally turn in, like if I created a post on Instagram, I could literally turn that into story slides. I could turn it into an Instagram live. I could take that Instagram live and put it on my podcast, which I do often. And it could also turn into an email. So you can see I'm not, again, like taking up a lot of brain space, and I'm not recreating the wheel. And typically what I try to do is whatever that content is, whatever the content is, it's connected somehow, some way to an offer that I want to bring attention to, because I've already decided what that is at the beginning of the day. So I know how to tie things in together. Sometimes I am absolutely like hard selling, I guess you would call it, where I'm like very much like, here's what it is. This is for you if. Come join me, here's how to get in, all those things. And then sometimes it's a softer sell where it's kind of just mentioning things, and there's a balance between those two things for sure. But I'm definitely not afraid to sell. And that's actually number 3 on my non-negotiables is sell somewhere directly and indirectly. So selling somewhere for me could look like sending out an email, letting people know about an offer. It could look like creating Instagram stories. It could look like sending out personal invites to people who I think I would like be a great fit for whatever the offer is. It could be having a conversation with someone in real life, but I'm actively like selling my offers somewhere so that people know that I'm open for business, right? People know what I do. People know if it's for them. So that's number 3. Number 4 is following up with potential clients and starting new conversations. This is considered an inbound activity where I'm going out and I'm starting the conversations. I'm doing the things, I'm, initiating and doing those things to kind of get the ball rolling, or to just become top of mind for those potential clients, or even previous clients or clients that I want to swing back around with. So that's a really, really big one. And typically that needs dedicated time every day. Okay, the next one is networking, relationship building, and collaborations. This is another, hold on. This is another inbound activity where I'm actively going out to find people who have similar audience as me, to see how we can support each other, to see how we could possibly share audiences, to see how we could be guests and share and do all of the things there. And of course, like relationship building, that one is huge for me. And it's probably huge, not probably, I know that it's huge for you guys too, because a lot of your businesses are similar and we are similar because relationships are at the core of everything that we do in our business. And that's just how I've built my business. That's how I want to continue to build my business. So this is really important to me, but that also takes time. And that's why it is a non-negotiable. Now, I wouldn't say that this is a daily thing. Like I'm not collaborating with somebody every day. I would say for me, that's like a monthly goal of like, okay, this month, who am I going to collaborate with? What are we going to do? How are we going to share? How are we going to support each other? Relationship building is every day. Basically, we're doing that all day, every day. And networking, kind of the same thing, maybe once a week, once a month-ish, if there's different opportunities for that. Now, my next non-negotiable is creative time. So this is creative time for me to be working in my business, or wait, what's the saying? Working on my business, not in my business. So this is not delivery. This is not sales calls. This is not like creating, I guess it could be creating content, but it's not time that's like on fulfillment. It's like where I get to just sit and I get to be creative. I get to think about new offers. I get to look at my calendar and see what I have coming up, to see like what would be fun and what would be exciting, ways that I'm kind of just thinking outside of the box. This might include, it sometimes does include creating content to bring attention. So that could be the thing, but it's really like, it's more of like unstructured time it's just like, let yourself kind of just be in that CEO role. Think about the longevity of your business. Think about the longevity of your offers. How could we tweak things? Really reflecting, journaling oftentimes happens during this time. And also this could be time too, where I'm working with my own mentor, to just hone in on a lot of these things. So that to me is like creative time, because I walk away feeling really, really excited and really, really good. And then the last thing on my non-negotiables are the back end, like business things. So this is me working in my business, I guess. Yeah, in my business, where I'm doing like invoices or sending out links or scheduling things or just checking on like, past due payment, like back end things like that, where it's like not the most fun thing, but you got to do them, right? So those are my non-negotiables. And I'm going to share just a couple more things that I've kind of collected along the way. The ones that I just described are the ones that are my personal ones that I've like cultivated over the last 2 years in my business. But some other ones that I've heard and that have been suggested to me is, of course, like working on messaging. That kind of goes with creativity time and content time. So creating content and honing that messaging in on your specific ideal client. Not recreating the wheel. So repurposing across platforms, looking just to make sure that the content that you are creating is very much balanced and that there's value, like content, problem awareness, stuff like that. And then it's balanced also with like personal stories, just things that I value, things that are important to me so people can kind of see. And I really view my content too as like a bank or almost like a scrapbook of like, this is how, if somebody were to come to my Instagram page, they could kind of see like who I am as a person. They could see what it's like to work with me. They could see the types of things that I'm working on. So it's like this scrapbook of like a living like documentation of my work. So that kind of thinking about that and looking at that and making sure just everything is like balanced, that's an important one. And of course, like, over delivering to clients, that's like my first and foremost, right? And then other things that I've been like picked up along the way, or like a place to nurture your audience outside of just the day-to-day content. So that could be something inside of like a Facebook group. That could be something inside of like a free Telegram or a broadcast on Instagram. Maybe it's some time spent working on like an opt-in or something to really support your audience and nurture them in a way where they're not having to like buy anything or, kind of like that. So that's another one. And then, sorry, you guys are going to be like totally bombarded with all of these messages, but like the weekly things, trying to go live or just getting visible, like having your face out there. And I guess it doesn't really even need to be your face. Like it could be, like I said, a Telegram channel where you're, messaging in that sense. I really think it's good for people to see like your face and kind of see your beautiful self. Right. And then I've heard that it's been recommended, and I'm actively working on this actually this year in 2025, but that's having something for people to participate, having something for my audience to participate in, to kind of get a preview of what my work is like. And that could be an opt-in, that could be a masterclass, that could be a Telegram channel that's open for a week. It could be a challenge. It could be an audit of some sort. It could be a voice note. Like there's so many different ways that we could think about this. And then the last thing, and I mentioned this one before, is just once a month, like collaborating and networking and building those relationships and sharing audiences with people that have a similar audience as you, but do something different. So these non-negotiables, like I said, they've evolved over time. And I try to really keep the balance of like inbound and outbound. And I also try to really just with those beginning questions that I asked in the very beginning of this string of voice notes, I try to balance it with like, what do I need today? What does like my heart need today? How can I pour into my family while also continuing to grow this business and to serve my clients? Because I always say my business is really like my third child. Like I love it so much. I love my clients so much. I love you guys so much. And so making sure that, that continues to grow is really, really important to me. And I know that it's important to you guys as well. So hopefully these audios were a little, they were a little peek into my daily, weekly, monthly non-negotiables. And I would love to hear what you guys think and just if anything came up for you or what stood out to you. Somebody told me today that I was on a call and she was like, yeah, Sandy, like building a business is way harder than people really like to think about. But for me, I found that consistently doing these things that I just talked about over time is what has really gotten me the results that I am so proud of and I'm so excited about. And I'm also just so excited to continue to grow and serve more people, just like I know that you guys are as well. So let me know your thoughts. Hopefully I don't bombard you too much, but have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I will see you guys back here very, very soon. Thanks for listening, you guys. If you're ready to get your business going and making money and to step into that next level version of you, I would love to support you make that happen through strategy, mindset work, and my Cut the BS style coaching, because it's always better, quicker, and more fun to have someone who's already been through it support you. Shoot me a message over on Instagram with the word ready, and we can chat and get your questions answered about coaching and how I can support you. I cannot wait to hear from you.